probably see it everywhere. COVID. COVID, COVID, COVID. The world's headlines for 2020 have all been in some way about the coronavirus. And while I don't think that we should downplay what has happened in 2020, this is a NASCAR-themed channel. So it's only natural that I want to look at how the pandemic has affected the sport. So let's get into it. Firstly, we have to look at the short term. And the short term is gonna look a lot like the present day. Well, NASCAR's gonna be as safe as they can be with this, and it's gonna follow a lot of the state guidelines. So we're basically gonna have 2020 bleed into 2021, as much as people don't want to hear that. So, in theory, based on guidelines, in a place like New York, Watkins Glen would have few to no fans, while at Daytona and the Daytona 500 in Florida, it might be full capacity like they're already selling it. You just don't know yet. It all depends on the progression of the COVID relief. And as of the night of recording this, there's been positive talks about a vaccine being brought to the public soon. Some as soon as December 11th this year for frontline workers and people in the hospitals. But even with that, the quicker that we can move back to normal, the more like before the sport is going to be. I think at this time, it's a waiting game. NASCAR will have 2 months to gauge what the plan's going to be. It's probably safe to say that every major sports league is going to be fairly cautious on pulling the trigger to full capacity again. But once one does, I guarantee you the floodgates will open. But for now, I'm more expecting 2021, like I said, to look more like 2020, unfortunately. It sucks, but it's just a reality. Now, the long term may be where we see the biggest changes, and we may not see them for a good 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years down the line before we can fully see how this has changed the sport. NASCAR for years has been changing to the point of numb rage from fans, but over the last 3 years has actually kind of stabilized when you look at it. This is probably going to end. During the last 3 years, the surroundings of NASCAR gave way for this, chief of these being the thriving economy. This opened the door for sponsors to have more options in the sport or not. Well, COVID shot the economy like a shotgun blast. The economy is now in shambles, and sponsors are going to have to be more selective and strict with NASCAR. We've seen this in the past with Dale Jr. and Casey Kane in the early 2010s. And this might become a hell of a lot more common going into the 2020s. And with this, it will make the charter system exponentially more important and solidify it in the sport forever. If sponsorship dollars dry up, you can bet that this will rot and mummify lower, non-chartered teams. If many Cup teams don't have a sponsorship secured, then they're probably going to have to climb a nearly 180-degree hill. This poison is going to seep into the lower series, infecting these teams, and it's going to make it harder to run these series as well. So it's going to be tough sledding, especially for series like the Truck Series. So in Cup, at least, we may see or get used to fields of 36 cars. That's just how the next-gen era might look. And the relief from this may come slowly. TV dollars and attendance will also be a big factor. Now, we all know that the slow rollback into normalcy at tracks isn't going to be something, like I said, that's going to be fast. It's going to be a slow rollback, and it may be happening. But even if they're back to full end capacity by the end of 2021, the numbers of attendance at least weren't that good before. The ratings also aren't a surefire lockdown as well. While numbers were flat or on average last year, they avalanched for the finale that saw Chase Elliott, NASCAR's most popular driver, win his first Cup championship. So there's no guarantee here. So added money to the tracks as well might not be there. And in a way to save money, NASCAR condensing the weekends only adds to this problem. This could lead to more tracks closing, similar to how Chicagoland Speedway did, or having them taken off the schedule like Kentucky Speedway, especially since track contracts are shorter now than ever. How this energizes the fan base will also be a big factor into the latter half of the 2020s and into the early 2030s. NASCAR's broadcasting rights contract ends in 2024, so how the sport performs in 2022 and early 2023 could really make the difference in the future health of the sport. If ratings trend up, it gives NASCAR more power and leeway. If ratings are down, then the networks dictate how the ship steers even more. Only time will tell. It really all depends on three overarching factors: what the governments allow, how fast a vaccine could return us to normalcy, and how far and fast NASCAR is willing to push it to a full-scale comeback. Like I said, only time will tell. But who knows, maybe a magic wand will be waved and everything will go back to normal and 2021 Daytona 500 will be just perfect. Or we'll be in a Fahrenheit 451 dystopian future and nothing will ever go back to normal. Who knows? Personally, I think by the playoffs in 2021, we should be getting back to normalcy and in full. I don't see it being all doom and gloom, but I'm also going to be realistic about this. And I implore you to be realistic as well. Don't think that everything's going to be back to normal by Easter, but at the same time, it will get there eventually. We're not going to be under lockdowns forever. At least, I don't think we will. I hope we don't. That would really suck. So now, I'm going to leave you with this topic. I'm going to leave it here for you. When do you think we're going to be getting back to normal in NASCAR? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a like on this video and share it and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. And until next time, have a good one.